today. So every day we start fresh because we can't affect the past, but we damn sure can make a difference today.
So, welcome back to another episode of Shop Talk. It was another week, another season 7 episode has left us on the edge of our seats. I'm back discussing 703 today with a friend of the podcast, Emily from the Rookie Rewatch. Hi, Emily. Thanks for joining me again.
Hello, good to be back.
There's not much news after this episode, but 704 promo photos did drop before we started recording. And a couple of things to note is Del Monte is back because Wesley is back at the DA's office, along with some woman with Wesley and Del Monte. We don't know who she is yet. But yeah, I wonder if I don't know if she's just like an assistant or if she's gonna spell some trouble for Wopez. Like, can we not? Because I don't need it. So, and then I also noticed that Bailey wasn't in any promo photos either, but she is apparently staying at Lucy's, I think you said.
Yeah, I think that somebody had said there's a background, and I went back and looked, and I'm like, it does kind of look like Lucy's photos. I think somebody said, like, it's crowded at Lucy's.
Yeah, yeah. So I wonder if this episode's like the end of all the Graham stuff because the promo or the episode description says following Wesley's stint at the LAPD, he goes back to the DA's office. So like surely this isn't the end of all the corruption stuff, but like is this the end of all the Graham stuff that he's like wrestling with?
Like, it felt like the end of the episode. It felt like, I don't
Like it
know.
was
I
kind of
was
wrapped up.
maybe he felt like it was okay, but I don't know if it also felt like maybe there was something lingering for him. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't
It,
know. I guess we'll see.
I would probably expect Graham to still be around. Like, you'd see him at the station, so like
Hmm.
probably be part of cases and things like that. So
Yeah. Yep. So we'll just jump right into the episode because there was quite a bit to cover. So first, I think Emily, you have it down that Melissa got to do the previously on, which was
yeah, this is
fun.
her first time. I kept making a list of like all the previously ons, and it was like I think Eric did it maybe 2 or 3 times. Alyssa's done it once. I think I don't know who else did it, but it's just been Nathan.
Oh my gosh.
Like, I think season 6 was all Nathan. I was like, can we give other people a chance? Like, I want
Yeah.
to hear Makia do it, and Sean. That would be good.
Yeah.
So
Um, so yeah, so we have like a recap of, previous storylines, which some of the recap was like episodes like from seasons ago because we had some of the Rachel stuff. We had Detective Scanlon like come back. So and that was kind of nice, but then we also had, just kind of a recap of like where John is with all this Jason stuff. So starting off the episode, John is setting up a home security system to keep Jason out of his house, and Tim's over to help him test it because why not have Tim Bradford test your home security system? So John has promised Tim to 2 tickets to the Lakers for helping him out. And Tim's like, I bet you regret getting in a house with all these windows. And John's like, yeah, but I made the whole place a fortress. Shatterproof glass on the windows, alarm system hardwired and with built-in redundancies. It's basically, no one can get in. And so John's confident that this home is impenetrable and that he's going to take a nap and Tim can try to break in.
the moment he like left and said like sleep well, like
Mhm.
like right there, like I just knew, like, because Tim was like, no, you look more confident than Nolan does right now. So I'm like,
Yeah.
he's definitely gonna be able to get in there, and he's definitely gonna like sneak up on Nolan.
Yeah. Well, when I was rewatching it, I was like, how long is this nap that Nolan's taking? Because how long is Tim just like standing right there? Like,
Like I don't even think he
I
even got.
mean, I don't know. Because, like, John's then woken up by a can popping, and Tim's just like, what? Like, I'm here. No big deal. And he's like, it'll cost you two more Lakers tickets. Does John, like, have season tickets or something? I don't know.
Somebody
But
talking about Lakers tickets, but uh, no, I want to know how many times. First, I want to know how many times Tim's like gonna jump scare someone.
mhm.
Like,
This season alone, this season alone.
I want to go back and like, has he done that before? Like when he did the uh breaks when he was in the car, like he's done that in the past. Like that was
Mhm.
almost like a jump scare, but like
Yeah.
other times. But I liked that. I like that kind of transition of like it's black, and then all you hear is like just very like definitely like the can opening. I'm
Yeah.
like, I like that.
It was just so good. And Tim's just standing there like, what, you didn't think I'd break in or something? Like, it's so good. Um,
Um,
and yeah, when I first saw that, because I was like a couple of minutes late starting the episode, I was like, oh, we open up with a Brolin scene. Love that for us.
yeah,
Love it.
I I love it. I need more Berlin
Hmm.
scenes. Yeah. Uh, but the Lakers, with the Lakers tickets, there's been behind the scenes of like Eric saying like it's a good Chenford day or something like that. So I'm like, who's he gonna take with the Laker
Right.
tickets? Um, like, can he hold on to him for a bit until they're back together?
Yeah.
Um, maybe they could do a guys' night, like Brolin and then Wesley.
Yeah.
Um,
And James or something, because he said four tickets.
yeah, yeah.
So who knows? But yeah, so then we go over to the station and Detective Scanlon comes up to John in the locker room. Call back because he came back in season 4 or season 5 episode? I don't even know. It was with
Yeah, I heard
Skip
the
Trace Randy.
the no hodo. That's what I remember hearing in
Yeah,
the the beginning. Uh,
yeah. And so he reminds him about keeping an ear on the ground like keeping an ear to the ground about Jason and the Southern Front. And so he tells Nolan that Detective Graham caught a double homicide earlier that morning, and that the suspect in custody used to roll with the front. And rumor is he was tight with Jason back in the day before falling out. So Nolan's like, okay, cool, gonna clock that. And then Selena walks up to John and she's like, shop's loaded, like we're ready to go. She's happy go lucky. And John's like, yeah, I have something to do first by myself. And he just like leaves her behind. And I'm like, dude, that's no way to treat her, but okay. And so then he goes to talk to the double homicide suspect, finding out his name, the cell, and he tells the desk worker that he'll just fill Graham in later, which bad idea. So John just needs the address or the name of someone who knows it and tells him that this is personal case for him. And that his wife's life is in danger, which I understand why he would say that to the suspect, but like, are you expecting the suspect to care that your wife's life is in danger? Like you could have just said that the case is personal for you.
yeah, I don't know.
So,
Like, I was like, he's trying to make a deal with the prisoner, and like when Graham came in and was like confronting him about it, I'm like, I feel like yeah, that was kind of out of line. Like, how does he have he's a TO, but like, how can he make a deal with?
yeah. He's not even privy to the case.
And for it being a personal, I'm like, dude, you're kind of like, I'm like, you're out of line. Like,
Yeah.
surprised that
Yeah. Well, he's not even like privy to the case. So it's not like he knew what was going on. Like he got details from Nyla or Angela. Like he's just like, oh, I got this, information and I'm just gonna go talk to him. Like, I don't blame Graham for being like, you're gonna get a letter of reprimand from
yeah,
me. So
it
yeah.
was like, it kind of almost like, I was like thinking, I'm like, is he? is it going to kind of turn out like with what happened with Armstrong? Because he went like he basically went rogue. He went on his own, and
Yeah.
I was like, is he going to get in trouble like he did?
Yeah. It almost was like showing, I don't even know if this is the right word, but like his privilege. Because
Mhm.
like he just thinks that he can just like go and do whatever he wants. And it's like, no, just because you're a P2 and this is personal does not mean that you can just go and like, you know, break all these rules. Like there's so much more that needs to happen. But yeah, I don't know. We see it later on too, and I'm just like, John, like this, as a P2, as a TO, or whatever level he is, a TO, like you should know better than to do all of this. So,
Yeah, yeah. I was
so yeah, yeah. So as John tells him that, he'll give him something if maybe if he talks to the DA, they can help. Graham interrupts and literally like pulls John out of the cell, telling him that Goodwin asks for a lawyer and they can't talk to him until he has one. Like Nolan didn't even know that he had asked for a lawyer. Like once they lawyer up, yeah, they're done. They can't talk. Like he didn't even bother to find that out. So Graham
and
says, what?
the, the severity of like the criminal, like he shot up like kids, right?
Yeah, two honors students.
Like no, like let's let that. I don't want to make any deals with this person.
Yeah. He literally walked in there with no idea of what was going on.
Yeah.
He didn't even bother to like look. Crazy. So Graham says that he can't let anything jeopardize Goodwin's conviction, and if John comes anywhere near him, he's looking at a letter of reprimand. As he should. As he should.
Yeah.
Um, and so John catches up with Wesley at the station, fills him in on Detective Graham's suspect in custody, who might know where Jason is. And as soon as John mentions Graham, Wesley's face is just like, no, I'm
Yeah.
not doing this right now.
Had that.
And John's like, what's wrong? I'm like, everyone knows that something is going on. Like they can clock it. So, oh my gosh, Wesley can't hide it very well.
Yeah.
So yeah, so Wesley tells him, or John tells him that the suspect isn't going to talk unless there's deal. But Wesley stops him in his tracks. He's like, that's not happening. He shot two honored students. We're throwing the book at him. And Wesley says that they're not the only ones who might have some sway in his life, though. And John just needs to find the right leverage. Like, basically, Wesley was like, go for it, dude. Here's, like, I'm giving you a workaround. Figure it out. So, yeah.
So it
What?
was the brother, right? Like they went to kind of with the mom and the through the brother.
Yeah, but we never actually met the brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and so John and Selena roll up to the construction survey site. They're talking to Mrs. Goodwin. And John's like, I need some information on Daniel and, I need you to get it. And she questions why she would do that because obviously they're estranged. I mean, I would have the same questions. And Selena mentions her other son, Keith, who's had a few run-ins with the LAPD. And John gives her his card and he's like, if he's ever in any other trouble, I'll be there personally to look out for him within reason. I don't know. I thought it was a nice gesture, but I was also like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Miss Goodwin asks Selena if she can trust him, and Selena's like, he's the most trustworthy man I know. Um, And so Miss Goodwin's meeting with John and Selena, telling them that she spoke with her son Daniel, and he refused to help the police with anything. But he told her that his friends haven't been able to find the man who John asked about, but they haven't given up hunting him. So, like, I wonder how estranged they were because she just like went in and talked to him, and he was like, "Yeah, hey, like I'm not gonna tell you anything." I don't. The whole storyline was weird.
Yeah, I kept feeling like he kept going to these different people for help in this, and I'm just like, wait, how did we get from this point to this point? I
Yeah.
felt like it was a
Yeah.
little rough, and I was like, well, what happened to that piece of information?
Yeah. Yeah, it was just kind of weird. Well, the whole like mother and son thing, I was like, they're estranged and they haven't talked in a while, but like all of a sudden she's back. Like obviously her son's gonna know that she's up to something. Like it was weird. And so we find out that an outsider, Malvado, has been hired. And Angela gives context on Malvado, saying it's a myth, the criminal equivalent to the boogeyman. He's made up apparently, but Nyla debunks that and says that he's definitely real. He's definitely real with like myths don't leave a trail of bodies along the border. I loved throughout this episode, especially in the beginning, like when John was talking to Wesley in the hall, you saw Selena in the background. Like she was just there. And
Mhm.
then like as Wesley left, like she came in. Obviously that's like camera blocking and all that. But I mean, even with like Nyla and Angela, like there was a moment where Nyla was talking to someone and she called Angela over.
Mhm.
And it was like, Angela was in the middle of a conversation with someone. Like I felt like it was more realistic than just having like her walk in from somewhere and be like, "Hey, what's up?" You
Yeah.
know, it was more realistic that like she's in the room and she's being pulled into that conversation.
Yeah.
So, um, but John loops, them in saying Southern Front hired him to kill Jason, and he asks Nyla if there's anything specific that she remembers about him, and she's like, "I can dig through my old files." So Nyla's had a run-in with Malvado before. Um, and Nyla and Angela kind of say, if Malvado's after Jason, he's a dead man walking. And it's good news for John, just kind of best to let nature take its course. But that's not what John wants. He wants Jason back in prison, which I don't blame him. It would feel very uneasy to have
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
as a solution. So we see Nolan chilling at home, and all of a sudden his house alarm goes off, which is so loud and so obnoxious, which is the point of a house alarm. But I
Yeah.
was like, okay, that's just a little much. So he like can't get it deactivated. So he gets his gun out and he's calling for backup. And he sees someone through the frosted window and opens the door to a girl who's clearly drunk and she's looking for her friend's house. And he doesn't really tell her that like he's police or anything. This entire exchange was weird too. Honestly, I was like, okay, this is weird, and you're not acting like a cop right now. You're
No.
acting like a confused neighbor. And so he's like calling for backup and everything. He asks her how she got in the gate, and she's like, it was open, or I climbed over. Like, I don't really remember. And so he calls and cancels the backup, walks her out, and he's like, don't drive. After he just asked her, and she confirmed that she's drunk.
Yeah. Like
As a
give
cop, why are you? No.
arrest her or give her a ride or something. I don't know.
Yeah. He doesn't even tell her that he's police. She just kind of like she gets like kind of awkward and she's like, "All right, I'm just gonna go now." Like it was weird. I was like, why are we 7 seasons in and he's doing this stuff?"
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So like
They,
he locks his gate. What?
so you're talking about the gate. Side note, like I could like maybe it's something that's probably like obviously added, but I I was thinking back like when we first met Bailey, and I'm like I don't remember a gate being there. Like I remember it,
No.
like very much open. Like there's a sidewalk, and that's it. Like they must have added that later, but
They
yeah,
had to have, or it was part of the whole like alarm thing because even when they're looking for him later on, they say like they can't get in unless they drive a shot through the wall or something.
but yeah,
So I'm wondering if it's new because even when they did the Halloween episode a few seasons ago, I don't think there was a gate.
yeah, yeah.
It's got to be new.
I think I remember seeing it in the premiere because he was at the end. He was coming in through it, talking to Bailey on the phone or leaving a message.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
remember
his
that.
entryway looks a little different.
Yeah, that's new.
Yeah. Yeah, because yeah, I don't know. It's weird because he's like walking her out, making sure to lock the gate, and he's just like, all right, well, don't drive. I'm like, she's drunk. Like, I don't know. It was weird. I was like, okay, that's like season one John Nolan, I feel like. So we go back and John is at the station looking at records and paperwork on Malvado, and he sees Smitty's name on one of the sheets because why not? We see him waking Smitty up at like 4 a.m. and he's not thrilled. And Smitty tells him that, he'll see him in 17 hours. And John's like, do you even know how many hours are in the day? Smitty's like, it's 4 a.m. I don't care right now. Like, just let me go. Let me be. Smitty's a whole mood. And we got a couple of scenes with Smitty this episode, so
Yeah. And so is Miles like, because remember like when Jackson was gonna live with Smitty, like he went and ate with him. So is Miles, is he supposed to be living in the same Airstream as Smitty, or is he just living in the lot?
I don't think so. I think he's just living in the lot. But is he living in an Airstream, or is he still living in his car and he's just using the lot as like his permanent address? Is the question.
Yeah, that's something. Yeah.
Because
maybe.
even Miles kind of hinted like at least you're not living in your car, or you wouldn't be living in your car.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I could see Smitty also like having a hustle and having a couple of Airstreams that he like rents out. And
Yeah.
they're just like, vacant and stuff, like fully furnished, vacant, because that to me would be a really Smitty thing. But yeah, I don't know, like if Miles is in his own Airstream or something. He's got to be in his own. I don't think he would just be like staying with Smitty
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, I don't know.
Two like bachelors in a small kept up.
Yeah,
Like no.
no. But even Miles is like, a couple of like divorced middle-aged cops or something. I was like, so this is like a thing that a lot of like, who else lives in the slot,
Yeah.
We need to know. So John mentions the Julian Power murder from like a year ago, and he mentions the late model Cadillac sedan leaving the area at a suspicious rate of speed, even including the partial plate that was added to the paperwork. And Nolan and Smitty have this funny exchange, and Smitty is like, no one ever said quickly Smitty wasn't thorough. And I was just like, I'm sorry, I can't take this seriously right now. Like, I know that I should, but I really can't. And so Nolan was like, yeah, it was. It was actually excellent attention to detail. Like he's like impressed. And so Smitty gives more context on the case, and John has more to work off of now. And so we see John like sitting outside of a house. It's like at dusk or at dawn. I got my days or my times mixed up. And he's watching a man get into his car. He's alone because, why not? He doesn't have any kind of backup with him.
He was just stressing me out this whole
Yeah.
I was just like, please go home. Just do not go into this like
Yeah.
creepy place by yourself. Please don't do that again.
Yeah.
Don't try to go at your.
And like no one else besides Selena was really in tune to what he was doing this episode. Which, I mean, I guess it makes sense because he wasn't really there when like the rookies were in trouble and stuff. Like he was just kind of on his own this episode. Like even away from Selena. I'm like, what is going on? So yeah, so he follows Malvado into a warehouse, or it was like a theater, but it kind of looked like a warehouse in the early morning hours. He's going rogue alone. No one knows where he is or what he's doing. And apparently he doesn't get cell service in there. So we see this guy who is Malvado. He has a security guard on the ground asking the guard if he knows where Jason is, and the guard doesn't know. Claims he hasn't talked to him in months. So John announces himself. Malvado doesn't even have to turn around to know that it's John Nolan, which
I was like wondering like how does he know him and by
yeah.
I didn't how does he know him by his voice?
Yeah, I don't know. The only thing I can think of is he's done research into Jason and then like therefore Bailey and knows, I don't know. It's weird though because I was like I mean, when he said that, it was like, okay, I'm officially creeped out.
Yeah.
Like, how does he know John Nolan's voice? Like, by not even having to look at him. So Malvado tells Nolan that they have the same goal to end Jason Wyler, and the guard can help them. He just has to leave and the problems will go away. But shots are fired, the guard goes to run, gets shot. Malvado runs, and John tends to the security guard. No cell service, no exit out of there. It just goes deeper into the building, um, which is the boiler room. So at some point, Malvado will have to circle back to them. And all the guard knows is that Jason shacked up with some woman, which is interesting. Like, I don't know. I guess we'll find out more.
Yeah. Well, like last time we saw Jason, like he was like with somebody, some woman, I think, and I was like, oh well, that sounds probably about right. He's gonna
Yeah.
find somebody else to like what was the term they used for Bailey gaslighting, like
Yeah.
maybe letting somebody else too.
Yeah. So John leaves the guard to put pressure on his wound, and he's gonna go get Malvado before he circles back. So that's kind of where we leave off with that. And then the next day at the station, Selena stops by Gray's office when he's talking to the rookies, and Chenford's in there, and she can't find Nolan. So it's also important to note that the night before, she asked to Lucy if she has anything personal with Nolan's, which to me was a weird question, but I was like, why would she?
Well,
Okay.
I was thinking about back, like I wonder if she does have anything personal from of Nolan's back when they were dating.
Yeah. But like, why? I mean, if she did, then I feel like Selena would question that and be like, why do you have like, I don't know, something of his, like whatever it may be. I'm just like, yeah.
I kind
This episode with Nolan was weird.
to talk about Selena, like I forgot to talk about it in the last when we were talking about the premiere, but like I kind of caught it more as I was rewatching it. But like I've kind of seen like more like I don't know that I've seen it before. Like I know she's like intuitive and she's like an empath or whatever, but I feel like she's more she's really like checking on people. Like she like in
Yeah.
the checking on Nolan, she was checking on um Wesley, and so she's very like she's
She's
kind of
in tune.
mama bearing kind of
Yeah.
people and checking.
Her intuition is strong.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, so Selena wants to put a protection spell on him, and Lucy's like, I think a good night's sleep will just do the trick. He's not even sleeping. He's not.
Yeah.
And so we go back to Nolan because Selena, has the entire team on it now. We go back to Nolan. He's still looking for Malvado. Like, this theater is huge. And so then Malvado sees John start shooting. They're in a shootout. John tells him that he thinks he's out of bullets. They exchange some Bible verses. And Malvado ends up dropping the gun and lets John arrest him. And so we go back to the security guard, and he's bleeding out, not doing well. Malvado's watching all of this, kneeling on the ground, and he's getting out of his cuffs at the same time. And he's like, offering to go get help. No one's not taking the bait. And Malvado ends up getting out of his cuffs, but we end up going back to the station. The whole team's on the mission. They end up getting a trace on his GPS. And it shows, and then looking at the security logs, they know he was there at 3 a.m. He talked to Smitty at 4. And so the last ping location is empty on the trace, but then they get the GPS and kind of track him down at the theater.
It's sort of
So
funny
what?
when it's sort of funny that there's been a couple of times before it was like, oh, I know we can go talk to like Smitty. We have to go talk
Mhm.
to Smitty. Like they had to do that, I think, when they were trying to figure out Tim's job situation. They were all like all
Yeah.
together. It was like, oh my god, we gotta go talk to Smitty.
Yeah. Like Smitty is always like the default person to talk to because he always knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Like even last season with all the Blair stuff, they were like, we gotta talk to Smitty. We gotta find out who comes into that,
Yeah.
building and stuff. I'm like, he is everywhere. And also nowhere sometimes, you
Yeah.
know? Um, so we go back to John's situation, and Malvado is still trying to get him to budge on letting him go get help. He ends up like kicking him in the face. I don't know. And running, and then Selena and Lucy come in. They get the security guard to the hospital. Turns out he's gonna be fine. John's fine, but there's no leads on Malvado. The house was cleared out. His car was abandoned. And so Selena suggests that there's still a chance that he'll solve the Jason problem. But John's like, again, that's not how I want it to be solved. Um, and so at the end of the episode, or John says he's going to take out the alarm system that he installed. It's overkill, insanely complicated. He can't even get it to turn off. So yeah.
It was like he bought, it reminded me of all the technology that he bought for his honeymoon.
Yes.
It was just overkill. Like it was
Yeah.
then and it's overkill. Like there's too much stuff. Too
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, so he tells Selena that he was trying to keep Jason out of the house, but instead he just ended up getting in his head. So John's at home again, and the alarm system goes off. Like I thought he was gonna take it out. I don't know. It's probably a bigger job, but he checks the camera because he's like looking in the fridge for dinner, and it's Bailey. She's home early. Um, but can't get into the house because he doesn't remember the code. And I tweeted this because he thinks her birthday is in June, but apparently it's in February.
No,
I'm like, that is a whole 4 months.
she's your wife. You don't remember her birthday?
I know. It's
You
not
need
even like it was like June 28th and he thought it was June 28th and it was like the 22nd.
he needs it on his phone like as a reminder, like Tim did.
Yeah. Seriously. Because the way she said it, she was like, "You mean February 12th?" I was like, "Oh my gosh."
Can I
Um,
can I just say
yeah.
like him like with that one and the premiere, he's coming home alone and just talking to himself. I don't know, like I just that's so funny to me. Like it's cute, funny. I'm like I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. The whole birthday thing, I was like, all right, I'll chalk it up to like he was panicking, but he was so confident that June 28th was her birthday. So he puts it in there as like a code. I don't know. Watch the continuity be like his birthday is June 28th.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because like the rookie universe or the rookie timeline and the continuity, most of the time the continuity holds up, but not all the time.
Yeah.
So then he tells her if she climbs up the HVAC system, she can shimmy in the bathroom window, and so that's how she's getting in. And I'm just like, okay.
I listening to your podcast last week, I was kind of with Nikki of thinking like watching these episodes and I'm like, I'm not really missing
Hmm.
Bailey. Like I'm kind of forgetting that she's here or she's supposed to be here.
Yeah.
But I really liked that little exchange. Like that was like
Yeah.
that was cute. It was funny.
Yeah. I don't mind Bailey, but yeah, I don't know. I was just kind of like, okay, so she comes home after being away for however long, and she can't even get in because he can't get the door open. Like, I don't know. It's just kind of like, okay, classic Nolan and Bailey, I guess.
That's
So, yeah. But yeah, that's kind of where we leave off with them. And then, I mean, I'm assuming she gets in. I could see it next week opening up though, like she still can't get in, and then that's why she's at Lucy's.
yeah.
But yeah. So, so then we go over to Chenford and the rookie swap because honestly, Chenford and the rookies are like my new favorite storyline.
Yeah.
Like I love Wopez, I love everything else, but I look so forward to the Chenford and the rookie stuff
Yeah.
because it's so good.
Yeah.
So Seth and Miles are getting ready for the day, and Seth asks Miles how the first night in Shangri LA went. And Miles was like, if communal living with a bunch of middle-aged, mostly divorced cops in a parking lot is Shangri-La, then I'd hate to see what heaven looks like. And he's so overconfident. And it like makes me laugh, but then I'm also like, how old are you? Because he's not like super young.
Yeah. I maybe he's in his 20 mid 20s or late 20s. I don't
I
know.
would say like mid to late because he's not like a rookie. Like he's been a cop before. So yeah, I don't
In
know.
years, so
Yeah.
I'm interested to know what led him to it in the first place. Like what did he do it right out of like college or high school?
Yeah.
Um
Well, I think last week we had found out that like he was going pro in college or he was gonna play football in college and then like blew out his knee. So yeah, I don't know. But like how long has he been on the force? Because I feel like that could probably help us with an age, but also the rookie timeline, we don't really know ages. So yeah. So Gray calls Chenford into his office, and on their way in, they're bantering back and forth about who's in trouble. And I love it. I think I said it last week. It reminded me of when someone like got called down to the principal's office in elementary school and like all the kids were like, oh, like they're in trouble. It kind of gave me that vibe with
yeah,
Tim and Lucy, with Tim being like, what are you in trouble for? And Lucy, or Lucy told Tim, what are you in trouble for? And he's like, who said that? Um
there's a
and yeah.
there's a callback, like a minuscule one where it's the episode when she she does the make a wish kid,
Hmm.
and she's like, I did something, and or something like that, and he's like, what did you do?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I think he does it almost just like that.
Yeah. Oh my God. It was just so good. And Lucy called him a troublemaker and he was like, I'd argue, but given my recent history, that's a fair assumption. I'm like, this is the banter. Like, we need this. Um, so Gray's like, I found out that you're betting on your rookies and we can't afford that or whatever. And Tim takes the blame right away. And Chen like interrupts him and they're like quietly arguing. And Gray, I want to like stitch this literally everywhere. And Gray's like, I'm sorry to interrupt. Can we circle back to me yelling at you? And I
Yeah,
was like,
new quote. Like I like
yeah,
that.
yeah. Like I love that. Um, and so yeah, Gray just had some of the best lines this episode. Like
Yeah,
some of the best like grumpy Gray lines.
he was not happy. This
No.
like yeah, very very grumpy.
I feel like with his new title of being lieutenant, like he's more stressed out. Even if all this
Yeah,
corruption stuff wasn't going on, like I feel like he's just like more stressed than
yes,
anything.
more of a workload.
Hmm.
Or yeah.
And so Tim, what?
I just love him. Yeah, in this episode.
Yeah.
But
And
they're
so what?
right.
Oh, you're fine.
I wanted to pick up on the bickering, like the married, like they're
Yeah.
like, if you would like walk past them like you've never met them, like you'd think that they were like you wouldn't think that they're not together at that moment. Like
Yeah.
even if you go back to like all the other married couple moments, like this that doesn't none of those top this one for me. It's like they're like they exude it like so much in this moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Tim like adds and he's like, well, we didn't put money on it. And Gray's like, it ends today. You're swapping your rookies. Like, who cares if you didn't put money on it? Like, it's not happening. But yeah. So
Did you catch the thing he said, like I'm like don't like I don't like this or whatever, like scratch whatever itch you.
yeah.
I was kind of like their faces at that. I was like, wow. And I was like, yes, it was inappropriate, but like, was it wrong to say?
Yeah.
Or was he actually wrong? Of like, they're kind of like they're kind of like bickering and doing this because of like their attraction to each other. Like,
Right.
can they get back together already?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure that everyone, including Grace, probably just like just get back together so
Yeah.
that we can stop having all this.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know. Like, because I caught it on the second rewatch of Lucy being like, "Sir," and he's like, "Well, sorry."
Yeah.
But I don't know. To me, maybe it just went right over my head, but I was like, I didn't think it was anything like kind of inappropriate. I thought he was just kind of more so talking about like their dynamic. Because
Yeah.
like they've been known to have bets and stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was like anything like, oh, like, their attraction to each other. I thought it was just like, kind of their friendly side of it. So, yeah, I don't know. But as Chenford leaves Gray's office, Tim says that the bet was his idea, so that's why he took the blame. And Lucy's like, no, I'm just as much at fault. And then she proposes an idea, and she's like, Gray said the competition had to end, but he never said what time. And so with the rookie swap, it gives them the perfect time to check each other's methods. So they do have a little wiggle room to declare a winner. And right then we should have been like, narrator voice, that did not happen. Like foreshadowing.
Yeah. Like they've had a tie like every single time.
Yeah.
There's no winner here.
There's not even really like a clear winner of like who's in the lead winning.
Yeah.
Because as soon as like you think Penn has the one up, because like Ridley's done something to mess up, then Penn comes in and he says something or does something that it's like, dude, come on.
Yeah. And then they
So
both and then in this episode they're both doing it together.
yeah. Oh my gosh. I had so much fun rewatching that scene. So um we'll get there in a minute, but Penn and Ridley are setting up the shops, and Chen comes in to tell them that they're switching things up for the day. So the guys are like staring past Lucy, not really paying attention to what she's saying. And Penn's like, there's a very attractive woman trying to get your attention. And we see Rachel knocking on the door. Um, and as Chen goes to say hi, Penn and Ridley are talking about the guys that she probably likes. And Penn's like, she likes country guys. He should have worn his cowboy hat. And I love Ridley because he's just such a little like angel about it. And he's like, she probably likes me. And
Yeah.
I'm like, he has no game. I just know it. He's got absolutely no game. So we get an update on what Rachel has been up to, and New York wasn't for her. She lost her job, then lost her apartment, and that's why she kind of ghosted Lucy. But she booked a flight and came straight to the station with her bags. One, that's a lot. And two, if it was me and like I ghosted a friend, I wouldn't be like, let me just pack a bag, book a flight, and like come right to you after I ghosted you for 6 months. Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
kind of weird.
uh when the sneak peek came out, I was like, wow, that's a lot to take in. And then she's like, so like what about detective
Hmm.
and Tim picking out baby names? I'm like, whoa, that's overwhelming. That's a
Yeah.
so
And
yeah.
also, like, did she ghost Lucy for 6 months? Because I feel like that stuff wasn't like 6 months ago. But then I don't know. I don't know. It was a lot.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out like what the time span is. I mean, like in our world, it's that was like 5 years, 5 years
Yeah.
ago. So, and like two people have had babies since then. So
Yeah.
it's I
Multiple babies.
like maybe they, because she did say like she's kind of stopped talking to her. So she did know about like her and Tim.
Hmm.
So just I guess within the last 6 months, she's just not.
Yeah. Because she also knew about Tamara. But like Tamara's lived with her for a while too. So
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. It was just kind of, it was weird. This episode was a little like weird, like out there.
Yeah.
Um, the more that I'm like thinking about it and talking about it, the more I'm like, yeah, some of this stuff did not make any sense. So Lucy trauma dumps on Rachel with her news. Didn't make detective. Tim and her broke up. Tamara moved out, but Selena's moved in. And Rachel is like totally cool that Lucy and Tim dated, which is honestly really cool.
Yeah.
So Tim walks up and sees Rachel, and it's a little awkward, but not as like awkward as I feel like it could have been.
Yeah.
So,
I noticed she was like hiding her face a little bit,
mhm.
and I was like, what? Like, what is the awkwardness between her and Tim? And then, like, um, you see, like, later, Lucy's telling Tim, like, yeah, she ghosted me. And he said, that's, that's her thing. So I was like, oh,
Mhm.
so maybe what happened was like, we didn't ever really see them break up. And
No.
like, she just stopped she just stopped talking to him. She just didn't. That's what happened. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah. Um, my I have like a little fun story. Because I started to get my friend to watch a year or so ago,
Yeah.
and she when she started, she was kind of like, "Oh, I think I kind of like Lucy and Nolan," and I was like, "Okay." So I was like, "It's cheating,"
Yeah.
and then I was like, I was trying to kind of give her like all the good highlights about Chenford, and so I think I kind of got her in for a little bit, and then there was some point where I don't know if it was like season 3. She's like, I don't like Lucy, and then she told me, she's like if they get to get like if Tim and Lucy get together, like, you know, how could she date her friend's ex or something? And I was kind of like, yeah, I kind of get that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was kind of like, well, she's not around for,
Yeah.
she hasn't been around. Like, we have never heard her name. Like, how good a friend is she? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not like she was like working closely with Lucy. Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
like Rachel decided to leave anyway. It's not like Tim just up and broke up with her. Like Rachel was the one who left. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. And Lucy set it up. So, yeah, well, it's kind of like it does make you kind of question it, but then you're also like, she's not that good of a friend because she didn't stay around. And now knowing that she goes to Lucy and goes to Tim, I don't know,
Yeah.
kind of
So,
weird.
yeah. We didn't hear her name for like ever after that. So, like, ghost,
Yeah.
like, the right word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like also, I feel like that's very confident and bold of Rachel to come back and be like, "Do you have a couch that I can stay on?" When
Yeah.
you've ghosted both Lucy and Tim, and
Yeah.
now you're just like, "I need a place to stay." Like, what? Lucy's so nice though that like she won't turn anyone down, especially if she asks Bailey to move or to stay there too, or tells Bailey she can stay there.
She's, yeah. She's so giving. She's so,
Hmm. So, so yeah, so then Gray walks up to Chenford and tells them about the fugitive situation and how the fugitive broke into a home, stole a gun, and assaulted the homeowners. So they're needed to help set up checkpoints. And so as Nyla's walking by, she hears this and asks if they have an ID on the suspect. And Nyla pulls Angela in. I feel like that's how they incorporated Nyla and Angela into this episode this week. Like they were just like walking by and they just like hear stuff. And then
yeah.
they're like, oh, like I can add some kind of context here. So Nyla pulls Angela in, telling her that a guy with a similar MO to their Larchmont burglar has been pinned down in a different part of town. And so Patrol's been asked to assist with the hunt. And we get some good Tim and Angela banter, and then like Lucy chimes in.
I like
It's just so good.
like Angela and Tim banter. That's welcome that. I love that.
Yeah.
I like little her Chen's like little like a nice. I would like a nice thank you to start the day. That was
Hmm.
horrible. And
I
then
was waiting for Nyla to get in on it too. But
yeah,
she's just sitting there watching it, like, I'm just gonna let them go.
and then you get Grumpy Gray. It was so good too.
Yeah. Yeah. He was like, well, I'd love if my patrol officers would follow orders and get on the street. I watch my shows, especially with the rewatch, with captions on. My Hulu caption said parole, and it did kind of sound like he said parole.
Okay, I saw that you wrote that, and then I was like, I wanted to check and see, and it does say parole, and
Yeah.
I hear parole.
So do
Like,
I.
like, was that just a mistake, or was he
I
meaning?
I feel like it was because patrol, parole
Yeah,
almost sound similar,
yeah,
but he just like didn't enunciate the T or something. I don't know, but I was like, I had to go back and watch it a couple of times, and I was like, I know that it's like 6 a.m. and I'm watching this, and I know that I'm like, trying to do a couple of different things at once, but did he say parole? And then I was like, I think he did. So
yeah.
yeah, I was just kind of like, okay, I think that was like a flub on their part. So um I had a lot of fun with all of this next bit. I literally came up with like 4 different partnership names or three or four. And I was just like, oh, I love this. So Ridley and Bradford are driving. And I had tweeted last night, or I was about to tweet, and I was like, if Tim's gonna do the boot on shot, this is the time. This is the time when he needs to do it. And then he did it, and I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. But he didn't do it exactly. Like he did a little part of it. And so Tim Ridley and Bradford are driving. I think I'm dubbing them as Ridford as like their partnership name because I feel like that just fits. Um, and Tim's quizzing Ridley on a couple of things, asking the 5 conditions to enter a private residence. And Ridley's like, we're doing this now. And Bradford's like, yeah, I need to know if you can focus when things get real. So as Ridley's answering, Tim pulls the whole boot, I've been shot. And Seth literally, he says he knows this one. And he like literally goes into fight or flight. He's like, I'm here and here. And Tim's like, officer trying to warn you, didn't
Yeah.
she? And he like relays off everything that she's trained him on. Basically, the
Oh,
stuff that happened in Lucy's like rookie period.
yeah.
Like the belt,
Yeah.
the bomb, like everything.
Yeah. I like what he said about, what did he say? I wrote it down. About if oh gosh, where did I put it? Oh, like if you assign me to a cop who seems like a slug, it's probably a test.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just like, wow. Like, I wonder if Lucy just told him when she was training him, like, okay, so this is everything that happened with me in my first, say, 6 months of the rookie period. Like, this is what you need to know because I went through like hell to get here. Um, but then the way that Ridley was like, yeah, I know this and this and this, and Tim's just like, she trained you or she coached you. And Tim's like, I'll just have to get more inventive, I guess. Like, he's so like annoyed. I also just love the dynamic that Ridley and Bradford have. Like Ridley is like so afraid of Tim. And Tim's just like Tim knows it. He's like, I'm gonna play into this. So
Now
yeah.
now that we have them writing together, I'm like, let's have more of that. I would like to.
Yeah. I was a little bummed that it didn't go the entire episode.
Yeah, like that was short. Like,
I was like, come on.
how long did Gray intend for the swap
Right.
to be? Like, was it, I don't know, was it he thinking it was like permanent? Like, no, y'all aren't gonna have the same, or it's just for that day.
But
I
like
didn't,
it wasn't even for the full day.
yeah,
Like they just got to the one call, or not even, it wasn't even a call, and then they were like, okay, let's switch back.
yeah,
I mean, I think it was probably just they wanted to make sure that they had their rookie that they, were relying on. But I was just kind of like, okay, well, now that we've had this, I want more of it because I need more of it.
yeah.
So,
I
so then
like
we,
I
what?
like those the y'all were talking about last week about the theory about
Yeah.
being Tim's brother. I'm going on about that.
I feel like it's possible. I feel like it's possible.
I thought so
But
too. Like I was like reading into things. Like there was a picture, or I think it was from last night's episode, and it was before that time. There was a screenshot of Tim as like a silhouette,
oh
and
yeah.
or not silhouette, like his profile, and I was like, he looks really like looks really distraught, like he did with Isabel, or he did with his dad or something. And I'm
Hmm.
got to be something like that. Like he's
Yeah.
distraught, gotten that information or something. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, that didn't happen in this episode. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So we then see Pen and Chen, who I'm dubbing as either Chen Pen or Pen Chen. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. I'm dubbing it. Um, just because they're both fun, short names, and they like sound so similar that why not? So they come up to the scene to help set up the checkpoints. They're there. No, they're wait, are they there before Ridley and Bradford or after? I think before.
maybe they kind of felt like they were kind of all there at the same time.
Yeah. Because
'Cause he walked
then,
quickly.
yeah, Chen like tells Seth to help set up the barriers, and Penn calls her darling. And he says it just kind of slipped out. And I was like, listen, whether it slipped out or not, like, you're not wrong for that. But also, you're also a rookie.
Yeah.
So,
So no.
yeah.
And
And like the way that he was in the first episode when he was like, I wish I could switch like TOs or whatever. I'm like, why are you trying to like hit on her or something? Like, can you not?
I like the way Lucy like kind of retorted back. Like,
Hmm.
does Sergeant Bradford let you call him darling?
Yeah. Yeah. But then, like, the way that Tim comes up and, she asks how it's going, and he's like, you coached him. And Lucy's like, I just trained him. So, and she's like, similar to how you did with Penn, calling me darling. And Tim turns away. So, he's so annoyed looking. Like, this man literally does not like Penn trying to, like, hit on his girl. Like,
Mhm.
this is twice now. And he's like, it won't happen again. And he walks by Miles and he's like, come on, darling, or something.
Yeah, he wasn't.
The way he said it was so good. Oh my gosh. So Tim takes Penn to their shop and we hear tires squealing and we see a truck like going through the barrier. Ridley is tasked to hold the line, which I think is basically just like watching out for anything else. And so they get the guy in the truck and we find out that it was a decoy. And we see a motorcycle speeding up to the barrier. And Seth's standing there with his gun drawn, but he's not doing anything. Like he's frozen. And so the rookies go back with their original TOs and everyone's on the move following the bike. And Seth's wondering if he should have fired his gun, second guessing his decision. And Lucy talks him down from it, saying that he wasn't an immediate threat and it's a complicated question that they can dig into after they get the suspect in custody. And I felt like that was a callback kind of to Jackson freezing up with taking the shot in season one.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I liked how he was kind of questioning it.
Yeah. Which makes sense. I mean, as a rookie, like, yeah, you're not gonna be perfect all the time. So then Penford and Richen, I'm just calling them by their ship names now because it's easier. They come up to each other's shops and they're like, kill the sirens, let's listen for the motorcycle engine. And Ridley then sees the suspect running. And so the rookies get out of the shop. Like, they're not even told to. They're like, we're getting out. And we're chasing after them or after him. So the suspect takes a woman hostage and goes inside of her house. Lucy yells at the rookies to not go in there, but they do it anyway, because why not? Everyone's going rogue this episode, so why not? And so Ridpen,
When
what?
like asking like, and like you let them, I had to go back and watch because I didn't remember. And I was like, yeah, I don't remember them. Like they just kind of got out of the shop and
Hmm.
like they didn't say anything. I'm like, they didn't really they just kind of let them go. Um but I did catch that like she's just shouting, don't go in the house.
Yeah. But wasn't she like shouting that like as she was still driving up in the car or
Yeah,
something?
yeah. So it's
So,
hard to.
yeah. But yeah, so Ridpen enters the house and Ridley is just like, so what's next? Like, what are we doing? And yeah, so Gray comes on to the scene. There's a bigger police presence out there, including Angela and Nyla. And Tim's like, if we radio them, they risk giving away their position. And so Gray is like, send them a text then. Like, figure it out.
He was like super creepy.
He's like so not into any of this.
Antics. Super moody.
You know what it's giving? It's giving Gray from season 1, who was just like so annoyed with Nolan.
Yeah.
But it's different because they're not like older now. You know, they're just like hotshot rookies. So, yeah. So, Ridley reads a text from Lucy that's telling them they have to stand down and Metro will be there soon. Penn is literally like the devil on his shoulder in this entire scene. And he's like, you know, they won't go in until they have a better sense of the situation. And by then she could be dead. And Ridley's like, but we have orders. And Penn's like, you got a text, which you never saw because you were saving the day. And the way that Penn says that, I like busted out laughing. I was like, he is so unserious with all of this. So Ridley's like, I'm not comfortable with that. And Penn's like, all right, so let's split the difference. We can take a peek and Ridley can text back with the situation report. And Ridley looks at the bright side and he's like, so it's like we're doing recon for Metro. And Penn's like, Penn again is the devil on the shoulder. And he's like, unless it's an opportunity to intervene, like if it arises.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh my God, this dude like literally does not care. And Ridley's like, why would I think it would rise? And Penn's like, because the good Lord loves me. I'm like, oh, I can't. I can't with Miles Penn. I really can't.
But also like they're like talk about like bickering, like married bickering, like
Yeah.
bickering.
Yeah.
Funny.
Oh my God.
The whispering and too made it even funnier.
Yes. Yeah. And so Ridley's like, what if I get shot? What will happen to me? And because Penn thinks he is divine protection, and Penn's like, whatever answer will get you out of this kitchen. So as they're making their way out of the kitchen and down the hall, Ridley asks what the plan is, and Penn's like, I'm gonna sneak in and jump him when he's not looking. And Ridley's like, that's not gonna work, and has a better idea. So he acts as the woman's son. He's like, Mom, do we have any Ronnie's left? Like, I'm a little busy. I'm like, what? What
That
is
was so
he doing?
good though. Like he was
It
so
was.
I didn't catch what was going on the whole like first thing, and then I rewatched it. I was like, oh, that's pretty smart.
Yeah.
And he played it very well.
Yeah. I feel like it could only be Seth that did that because his voice is still like, I don't know, it's a little bit more boyish in a way. Like if it was Tim in there, Tim couldn't do that because it sounds too much like, you know,
Yeah.
like a deeper voice. So yeah, it was good. It was good. And I like that Seth came up with that plan. And so Seth's plan works, and Miles gets the suspect to drop his gun and put his hands up. And Seth's just standing there in disbelief, and he's like, wow, that actually worked. And I was like, yeah, I think a lot of people are wondering that same thing. And so I love this little exchange when Miles was like, you got him, partner? And Seth was like, yeah, I got him, partner. It was just cute. I really need to see more of them together.
And like, you know, you have Miles who's had a little bit of time in the force.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of almost like I think it was him that said, yeah, radio it in. So it's like he's kind of giving the command to him, like they're partners, but like he's kind of like the big brother of it. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Yeah, because like Ridley's just standing there like in awe of his plan working, and Miles was like, do you want to radio this in or what? And so as Penn and Ridley are coming out, the rest of the team is just looking at them with disbelief and shock. They're like, you mean to tell me that these two rookies just did all of this?
Well, like, what did Tim say? It's code 4. They just said code 4. Like, did I just have a stroke?
Yeah.
But this was like a scene from like the season trailer, and I was like, oh, I did not have like I didn't think at all like this was going to be that kind of scene that they were all like looking. I thought it was going to be like a more like it was I thought, oh, it's gonna be a more serious scene
Yeah.
rather. This is kind of goofy.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. But all of their faces, like their expressions and that, I was like, oh my God. It like they're so stunned at what just happened. So the rest of the team, like Penn is just looking so proud of himself, taking Granger out, like, handcuffs and all. And the woman is like hugging Seth. And the rest of the team is just like, what is going on? And Jennifer shares a look and they're both pissed off. Like they're both kind of just like I feel like they were like defeated, but they were also just like, do we be like proud of them? Do we be pissed? Like what should we feel?
Hmm.
So Ridpen like enters the station the next day and they're geeking out over the hero save. Penn's like, we're gonna go viral, and Ridley questions him and he's like, wonder if we'll graduate early. And they're just so innocent and just adorable about this. And they're stopped by Chenford as kind of like another little jump scare, honestly. And they're like, do you really not see what's going on right now? And we see Gray talking to a bunch of people in his office, and then the blinds are shut when Gray like kind of catches wind of Ridley and Penn standing right there. And so they were like, yeah, but we saved a woman's life. And Tim's like, yeah, but you disregarded your training and made everyone's job harder. And Lucy adds on and she's like, forget skipping to P2. You'll be lucky if Gray doesn't bounce you today. So we find out that they're station bound for the rest of the shift. So basically, no more bet, which I wonder if this will be the actual end of it or if Tim and Lucy just like keep it going and just don't say anything.
Yeah, I was wondering when they were talking about it earlier, like how long are they intending to keep it just like right now
Hmm.
or like continuing? Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to know if it's still going on.
Yeah. There was a lot of talk about it like in the station where it wasn't like really kept hidden. So I feel like that's how Gray found out. But I mean, I want more of it. Just because I feel like it's a fun little thing that, they're adding on to all the Chenford stuff. Um so Seth like sweetly asks, he's like, "What are we doing?" And we cut to them writing on whiteboards, "I will not go rogue" so many times. I
Getting called,
lost it with this.
they're getting called into the principal's office. Like,
Uh-huh. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. Oh my God, so good. So Chenford's watching them with the whiteboards, and Tim says that technically neither of them lost the bet, but it was a draw. And Lucy's like, "Oh, it's a loss no matter how we spin it." She thought she was helping Gray out with a temporary TO position and it would help her career, but now it's probably just going to be another black mark. And Tim says as long as the brass doesn't fire them, they still have time to turn them into good cops and she'll walk away with a win. Um, and I feel like this was another part of the whole like season 7 promo. When she looks up at Tim and says, what are the odds they don't get fired? And he tells her slim to none. Yeah, so I don't know. Like, I mean, they're not going anywhere because we know that well, at least Derek is there until the final episode of the season, but yeah, I don't know. I wonder like if they'll still be switching up TOs or if they're gonna try to just keep them with their original TOs like
I
through
don't
half the season.
I don't know for sure. It kind of seems like um Ridley might be writing with Nolan towards the second half of the season because
Yeah.
and I think they've said that like maybe I think Selena's rookie year will kind of cap off maybe I think sometime during the season.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
maybe
because we know Selena only has 90 days left.
yeah.
So I guess once Selena graduates, she would then ride with Lucy and Nolan would go back to like or would be a TO for Penn or for Ridley.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't be the worst thing, but also like I don't know, I'm liking seeing Lucy as a
Yeah.
TO.
Oh yeah. I'm enjoying it. I hope
Mm-hmm.
I know we were talking about it the last time. Like I really like like that as for like hopefully a career choice.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if there's other options, but that's a good one for her.
Yeah. Yeah. So Rachel and Lucy are getting her set up for the night, and Selena finds out that Rachel dated Tim too. And we find out that Lucy felt a little weird about dating Tim at first, knowing Rachel had went out with him, but then they talked and, they talked everything out. And so Rachel's like, they were a much better match anyway.
I
And
like
she's
that she,
what?
I like that she said that. Like that
Yeah.
they were a better match and yeah.
Yeah. She's like, I'm surprised they broke up though. And I'm like, it wasn't really Lucy's choice though, but okay. Um
But even Lucy said, yeah, like she said uh Rachel said I was surprised and Lucy said, yeah, me too. Like yeah, like all of us, it felt like the rug was ripped right in from underneath us.
yeah. Yeah. So, the next day, Penn is back at the station, and Ridley's wondering if they had called them, if they called them in, they wouldn't fire them, right? And Penn's like, or they wanted to fire us in person. And honestly, Tim seems like that kind of guy. And so Seth starts spiraling, saying that if they kick him out, he has no idea what he's gonna do. And Penn gives him the bright side, and he's like, "You'll be all right. At least you're not living in your car. If they kick me out, I'll be sleeping at a rest stop working at Circle K back in Sugarland." And I was like, "Oh, I don't want to see that." So Gray calls them both into his office, and Chenford's there. Gray starts reprimanding them, and he's like, you put us in a difficult position yesterday. On one hand, you screwed up big time, and on the other hand, there's a hashtag going around, hashtag rookie heroes.
Did any did anybody tweet that hashtag last night?
No,
No.
I didn't. Well, I added it to a tweet, but I didn't
That's a
tweet at it. So, um, but it had been trending since the previous night. And so Penn speaks up and he's like, I also saw Hero Hottie, but that's not important right now. And Ridley is like, which one of us is Hero Hottie? And Penn's like, it was me. Duh. I'm just like, I need these two guys, like literally hanging out anywhere at this point. I don't care where, just anywhere. If they really want to call it back to season one, they could give us the karaoke bar, like back, and give us them there.
yeah, they need to do that.
Yeah. And so Gray asks Tim how much he cares about the opinions of the chronically online, which, ouch, that kind of hurts because we're all chronically online, but okay. And Tim comes back with 0. And Gray brings up the corruption scandal and the public relations crisis again and says that they can't afford to bounce 2 hero cops. And Ridley's like, we won't waste the second chance, sir. And Gray's like, that's not what this is. Lucy adds that second chance implies a clean slate, and they're both on the edge of very thin ice. So, yeah. That's where we leave off with our rookies, and yeah, it's kind of icy.
They yeah, that was funny. They were able to bring it back with a hashtag.
Yeah,
They won it with
yeah,
a hashtag.
yeah. So at the very end, Rachel meets up with Tim in the station parking lot and she wanted to talk to him. She says that she doesn't want things to be weird with them because she's going to be around. And so she'd like Tim and her to be friends and that they're on good terms. So everything's cool between them. I wonder how much we will see her this season.
I feel like she shared something later on in the filming. Like it was just on like it was in the lot. Like you couldn't really tell if she was in the rookie stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but she was like on the lot. So I would say probably she comes back. Maybe sometimes and if she's around, probably
Yeah.
she's in LA and if she's staying on Lucy's couch, I would
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I mean, I
I
don't think she'll be in like every other episode, but I feel like a couple.
yeah. I don't know that like I necessarily needed that. I was I like for her to come back, like
Hmm.
because I like it was kind of like how Tim said, no, I don't need closure, like because
Yeah.
but but I like that. I like for her coming back and a little bit and having Lucy to talk to a little bit and talk
Yeah.
to a relationship. And
Yeah.
so, but yeah, I liked having her come back a little bit.
Yeah. I thought it was good to like bring back someone from Lucy's past that's not directly related to the station. Like we see Lucy and Selena living together and like we had Tamara, but it's kind of nice to have like that little piece of Lucy's past that's not tied to her work,
Yeah,
kind of come back and be like a sounding board for her. So,
yeah,
yeah. But that's about it for the Chenford and Rookie part of it. Do you want to take over with the Wopez and Jayla stuff?
yeah. So we open up with Wesley. He's at home listening to the Blair tapes, which I think it's funny how they refer to the Blair tapes. It just sounds
Hmm.
um and he's listening to a little more of the Detective Graham stuff while Angela interrupts and asks to help get the kids ready. And I like that we can hear the kids playing in the background. Let's bring them out.
Yeah.
Let's learn their name. One of
I was gonna say, also, can I just say that this was another perfect opportunity to say baby girl's name?
yeah,
Just like at this point, I'm just gonna keep a tally of how many times we've come close to it
yeah,
and then we don't get it.
yeah. Hopefully by the end of the season, I feel like.
Yeah.
Right? Then they say they were gonna say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he tells her he's still following up on open cases, which I don't necessarily feel like that's an open case if he's
Hmm.
continuing to listen to Detective Graham. But Wesley is having to quietly obsess over the whole uh, Detective Graham thing, and I'm like, poor guy. He just feels like he's just tortured.
Yeah.
Um, uh, and yeah, he continues to listen to that. And then later, this one's pretty short, but yeah, later, Jayla and Wopez, the Jayla and Wopez dinner, double date dinner. The boys are arguing about plea deals, and the girls are annoyed, starting to talk about the food. And Nyla makes the defense that the deal is because Jason is threatening Nolan, someone they care about, which, yeah, I'm still kind of on the fence about making the deal. So,
Yeah.
and Nyla stops the conversation to press on that everyone feels the same way about injustice and that they're all trying to do something. And James not notes that not everyone in the DA's office is the same way. So, and I kind of caught that Wesley kind of looked kind of I don't know, downtrodden or something.
Hmm.
And thinking about how it referenced the DA's office, because I've been thinking I kind of really miss Scrappy Wesley. Remember when he was the what do you call it, when he was defending public defender, when he was more like a public defender.
Yeah.
And I remember him shifting to wanting to be the DA at the DA's office. I guess maybe to make more of an impact, but I'm not I'm have they actually exactly um touched on it, how he was why he was intending to move,
Yeah.
they haven't, I guess since he's been there, they haven't really gone deep into if he's kind of making a difference as he was
Yeah.
wanting to. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's something he's thinking about in that.
Yeah. And I wonder if we will touch on that a little bit more this season.
Yeah.
Because he's had a lot of stuff that's jeopardized his career overall. So it's kind of is he still thinking about the DA position? Or is he kind of like, oh, well, what if I was to go into something else or, like another part of it? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, and then yeah, I just kind of need more of like the conversation seemed very short. Like I needed more of it. I needed more of the the two couples.
Hmm. I also loved the seating arrangement. Like it was like Wesley and Nyla on one side, Wesley across from James, and then James and Angela, like they were like catty corner to their
Yeah,
significant others.
it was like, no, we're gonna have the besties and the besties.
I mean, it was definitely like a camera blocking thing, but it was just so funny how like that panned out.
Yeah,
I don't know, it was just I liked it.
yeah. Um, so yeah, and then later Wesley's at home, kind of just staring into space. I think still obsessing. And Angela distracts him with some wine. Angela has a question for him, but he says he just needs to ice his brain. Um, and she says her question's easy. She asks about the Blair tapes, and she says she recognized the voice as Graham and wants to know if she needs to be concerned if he's under investigation. And he's like, no, it's not anything like that. And so she kind of she's kind of is cool and like lets him like, well, that's it. No
Hmm.
questions, and walks away. But I don't know, to me, like he seems still like something's hanging over him, like he's worried, or
Yeah.
I don't know, carrying the weight of the world a little bit. So I'm kind of like, oh.
Yeah. I feel
uh,
like he's definitely an overthinker for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. Do you think that like, I don't know, it might be reaching a little bit. Do you think like her saying that she trusts Graham like has Wesley, like, I don't know, even more jealous or more worried?
I mean, it probably makes him a little bit more uneasy, but I also think like, it's not like he heard Angela on those tapes too saying like, "Oh, I have feelings for this guy." Like it's more so just like a one-sided thing. Now like Wesley knows how guys operate and like he knows, how guys are, especially like other cops.
Yeah.
So I feel like he could be freaked out thinking that like Graham is going to try to pull something, but I feel like he would be a little bit more aware and confident that like Angela would shut that down right away.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's probably just making him spiral more than anything, you know.
And I forgot to talk about this in the premiere, but doesn't Graham, he would know, he knows that like Wesley has probably listened to that tape of his because everybody knows that that's what he's doing, right? So
Yeah, I mean he has to.
yeah. So and like I just kind of like felt like, oh, he's not worried at all. Like he just seems so confident. Like they were having that exchange in the break room, and I'm like, dude, do you know he's like investigating your like
Yeah.
tape?
I feel like it's similar though to how Wesley can't talk about it like no one else can.
Yeah.
Because it would jeopardize
Yeah.
everything, So I feel like it's just kind of like an elephant in the room. Like no one can really say anything, but everyone knows that like he's listening, like he's there to, help make the paperwork and stuff better. So I don't know. It's got to be like an elephant in the room thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's about it for this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of good thoughts, a lot of good discussion.
Yeah.
Some funny moments and then some also like, what was this episode? Like, what did it have in it?
Yeah.
We did have two listener thoughts. From Ella B. She said, Rachel showing up is a bit of a long game, offering a person that is outside of the situation that offers perspective. She knows both of them and might have different insights. It wasn't to make drama as much as it was to give Lucy a person.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I agree. Like it was more of just like a sounding board, like, she's lost Tamara. Selena's like been around and has seen Chenford date, but like she doesn't really know the lore of Chenford,
Yeah.
like of everything that they went through. So, um,
You know,
and Ella B said this is less about Tim and more about Lucy having a sounding board, that might be able to nudge them in the direction of reconciliation. Also, to keep it short, Nolan should have gotten a wrist or a slap on the wrist at least for his roguish behavior. I agree.
yeah. Yeah.
I agree. Like you're gonna have the rookies write out all that on the whiteboard. Rightfully so. They're rookies. They're like this is what last episode we found out it was like their third day. So this could be like their fourth and fifth day. Who knows?
Hmm.
Rightfully so. They deserve that. But like also Nolan should have gotten something.
Yeah. He also went rogue, so
Yeah. Over like
doing the same
a
sentences.
bigger case, you know?
Yeah.
Um yeah, and like I mean Graham threatened the reprimand letter, but like nothing I mean Gray's just like looking off at that. Like I don't know, it was just weird.
Yeah.
They also said, so glad our show is feeling like the best of season 4 and 5. It feels good. I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah, it has a bit of I think I was saying before, like it has a bit of each season to me. Like there's a little bit of season one, there's a little bit of season two, and I'm definitely feeling
Hmm.
season four, especially Chenford. I think it's almost similar in there.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And it just feels good to have the show back after so long. And it's like you look forward to every week because you're like, okay, there's new characters to latch onto. We have our favorites back. We have good meaty storylines. Like it's good to have them back and it just gives you something to look forward to every week.
Yeah.
Also, if I butcher this name, I'm so sorry. I tried to look for pronunciation and I couldn't. Jania, I think, said yesterday's episode 703 was great, and all of the episodes and seasons of The Rookie is great. What I realized is Lucy and Tim still love each other, regardless of Lucy saying that she's over the breakup. Clearly, she's not over it yet, and she never will be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she can lie to herself and others all she wants, but like everyone knows
Yeah.
that she's down bad for him. So, yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
When I cut it out, it's fine. I there's and it's not. I don't think it's necessarily like a debate. I saw it kind of briefly online yesterday a little bit and probably before. Like there's these two kind of different viewpoints of like whether they're kind of like with Chenford, they're kind of there's not been much movement.
Hmm.
Like they're kind of like I can understand that, and I can also understand the part where oh I get it because there is um they're building kind of up the other characters and things like that.
Yeah.
I've always been conflicted on everything, like even like back to the breakup. Like I'm still can't get over that one, and but at the same time I'm like no, I love all of this stuff. Like
Yeah.
I miss their stuff, um but I love everything. I don't know if that makes sense, but like I know that there's some talk on that of like it's being
Yeah.
like not as much movement and
I feel like it comes and goes. Like I feel like there's movement in that they're getting back to their like friends before the relationship era. Like with the bet and just kind of the banter back and forth. Like they almost need that. They almost need to get back to that part of
yeah,
their dynamic and relationship before they can jump back into the relationship side of it. Um, just because they are friends at the core. But I also think on the flip side, seeing the other couples and the other characters grow. I mean, The Rookie is such an ensemble show. Like it's never just about one character. I mean, even though like it may seem like it's about John Nolan a lot, like it involves the other characters so much too that it's kind of like we have to focus on the other characters at some point. Like otherwise it's just gonna get stale. And I mean, as much as like I want to focus on Chenford, like all of the other characters bring something that you love or maybe not like so much about them that like you do want to see what they get up to. And so I feel like, yeah, like if we were just watching Chenford all the time, like it would get stale because it's like, okay, what can they do next?
Yeah.
Whereas like if they're bringing Nyla into it and like Angela, and then, you know, they're diving into a storyline for them, like it kind of gives us something else to latch onto.
Yeah.
And like who knows, like it could tie back to Chenford in a way or tie back to John or whatever, but I don't know, it's such an ensemble show that I feel like if we do focus on like two characters or like a ship or something like all season, everyone else suffers from it. And then the people who are fans, you know, like of Wopez more so than Chenford or, you know, stuff like that, like they feel kind of not left out, but just kind of like put off to the side. And it's like we gotta cater to everyone, I guess, but also like what's the fine line? Because we don't want to like overdo it. So yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. I like the movement, but I can also see where people say there is no movement. But then it's also the third episode. Like they're not going to be back together yet, because otherwise it wouldn't be a good, you know, storyline and
Yeah.
dramatic plot point for that. So
Yeah, I'm always conflicted to either side. I'm so deeply like loving everything that we're getting and seeing all these new characters and having all the other characters be able to develop more as well. So yeah, but also I they give us Chenford and then they take us away, and I'm like,
yeah,
that's just my other part of it. It's just I miss it,
yeah.
that part of it. But yeah, I love yeah, I like what you said about um all of the all of that. And yeah, it's a whole like having to build that back for them as well.
Yeah.
They need that time and I'm here for that journey too. So
Yeah, same. I just look forward to seeing where season 7 takes us. Like I feel like there's so many things that we can draw on this season alone. Like we're only 3 episodes in and I feel like we have so much that like we can expand on and so much more to come, I feel like.
yeah.
So, yeah.
It
But
feels like they're gonna constantly have just a plethora of stories. Like they're just if
mhm.
not gonna run out of it. Like when
Yeah.
I learn when they might be going a little bit stale, I'm like, nope, this is really exciting. Like I didn't even think of this. Like it feels like they could go on for a while for
Yeah.
with so many different ideas.
Yeah. And honestly, like the push and pull between the characters and stuff is fun too. Like even between like the Wopez and Jayla stuff this episode, you know, it was very much like a push and pull with, well, Wesley feels one way and James feels another. Like even then that's something that we can grow on because I mean at the core of it they're friends and their wives are cops who work together, detectives, like they have to be okay with it but also at the same time like they can have differing opinions on that and be able to like agree to disagree and talk about that, you know, in a way that, you know, is productive and mature but also like realize that they're only a small part in it. So I feel like we'll probably see that grow too. And it's just adding to the storyline overall. Because like if Rachel's involved, like we know she worked with kids before. And I mean if Luna comes back, like and Bailey, like they're all gonna have parts of that storyline as a whole with, you know, cases and deals and stuff. So yeah. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I think it was interesting that how Nyla and James kind of had that conflict last time. They kind of shifted
Hmm.
like it wasn't seen for very much, but like they had that shift with Wesley and James as well. And
Yeah.
I it kind of been parallel the Wopez to the Jayla, like the relation
Yeah.
how conflict is similar in their relationships.
Yeah.
So,
I also like, and this is very intentional, I'm sure, but how they've brought in other professions that help people as like the significant others for the characters. Like Bailey being a firefighter, Luna being, the social worker. Um, I think, and like James and, with the community center and stuff, like I feel like it's because they could very easily have significant others that just they don't understand all of the police stuff. They don't understand, helping people on their worst days and everything. Whereas I feel like if you're in that position already, like you kind of need a significant other some of the time, or, a lot of the time that really can like complement that and kind of help, either like talk things through or just understands where you're coming from. Like, if you're having a texting day, like that's, they understand that. So I feel like, you know, and I've seen shows do this with like 911 and like One Chicago and stuff where they like have the characters, like in relationships and stuff with people who are close to the job too. But the rookie like has such a broad spectrum of it because it's like like social workers, other first responders, like public defenders and stuff. Like I feel like it just they have such a broad range of it that it like makes it more interesting to watch. Because I'm like,
yeah,
oh, like what does James think about this? Or what does Bailey think about this? Like,
yeah,
it's interesting to kind of hear their side of it.
yeah, the different viewpoints. I like that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. So I feel like we're all talked out for this
Yeah.
episode. Thank you so much for joining me again, Emily. Like it's so much fun to have you on the podcast.
I'm glad. I enjoy it as well.
Yeah, yeah. So you can find us on Twitter at the Shop Talk Pod _ or email us at shoptalktherookiepodcast@gmail.com with all of your thoughts. You can find us individually on Twitter as well. I'm at jstark804 and Carrie is at Carrie Hyman. Um, and then we're also on TikTok. I guess that's still around. I don't even know. This week has been a weird week.
Oh, yeah.
We're at the Shop Talk Podcast _ for however long that's around. And we're also on Blue Sky. Yeah, again, haven't done much. So the Shop Talk Pod, if you want to follow us there. Emily, where can we find you on social?
Emily 8174 on Twitter for now.
Yeah.
And Emily in the photo everywhere else.
Yeah. And then the Rookie Rewatch, right?
Oh yes, the Rookie
Yeah.
Rewatch. I forgot to even say the hashtag last time, I think. Rewatch _ rookie.
Yeah.
On
Sure.
you can find some activity on Instagram. That's where I'd like to be.
Yeah. I love seeing the content that you put out. Like when it comes up on my stories, I'm like, oh my gosh, so excited to watch it. Because it's like some rewatch parallel video or something, and I'm like, you always make me remember. I'm like, oh my God, that is right. That's right. That happened.
That's my thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, until next time, we'll be, I guess, yeah, we'll be back to recap 704. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Go get him, boo.